have you ever been picked on or made to feel uncomfortable by something that you wore to school one day? I can personally attest that I have. Everyone that I speak to state that they have been in a position of ridicule about their clothing at one point or another, and this can create an everlasting scar on our self-esteem. Private schools have been known to institute a uniform policy. Now many public schools are debating whether or not they will require their students to wear a school uniform as well. Some people argue that requiring students to dress a certain way takes away their sense of creativity and individuality. However, there are many arguments in favor of wearing school uniforms. I firmly believe that elementary schools should adopt a school uniform policy, as this promotes enhanced school pride and unity, decreases bullying and peer pressure, decreases behavioral problems, promotes increased attention to classroom activities, and helps students learn to evaluate who they are on the inside instead of their superficial clothing. We need school uniforms because we have ever-increasing problems in our schools, from bullying and theft of valuable articles of clothing to our youth sporting gang colors and insignia. Instituting a policy of school uniforms would solve many problems that our public schools currently face that detract from student performance and learning. Some great benefits would include: uniforms promote increased attention to classroom activities. This encourages some students to take their responsibilities more seriously, as the students will not pay as much attention to their clothing, and this attention will be diverted to increase participation in the classroom. Uniforms are also easier to enforce as a school dress code. Uniforms promote enhanced school pride and unity. In a 2007 study from Oxford Brookes University in the United Kingdom, found that uniforms often directly contributed to a feeling of school pride. A peer review of this 2007 study also found that after required uniforms were introduced, teachers perceived an increased level of respect, caring, and trust throughout the school, and that students were made to feel important and as if they were part of a team by wearing a uniform. Uniforms decrease bullying, peer pressure, and behavioral problems. Not only is teasing decreased, but violence can also be prevented at schools that have required uniforms. As you can see from the chart below, with blue representing before uniforms were instituted and red representing after uniforms were instituted, there has been a dramatic decrease in school crimes reported after the uniforms were instituted. Gang violence is becoming more prevalent at schools around the country, and sometimes fights can start over someone wearing the wrong color or sporting a gang insignia. When uniforms are required, this problem is completely diverted. When students dress alike, competition between students over clothing choices and bullying of those who are dressed in less fashionable attire is eliminated. Uniforms also reduce the chances of an outsider entering the school undetected. Uniforms help students learn to evaluate who they are on the inside, not by what they wear on the outside. Former President Bill Clinton stated, "If it means that schoolrooms will be more orderly, more disciplined, and that our young people will learn to evaluate themselves by what they are on the inside instead of what they're wearing on the outside, then our public schools should be able to require their students to wear school uniforms." So many of you might be asking yourself, so what? Issues regarding student clothing and associated problems continue to rise in our public schools. If we continue to ignore this issue, we are doing a great injustice to our students. This problem can be easily fixed by requiring school uniforms at our elementary school level. This solution only involves making revisions to our current dress code, which honestly is lacking significantly. Requiring school uniforms helps promote school safety, improves the learning environment, and diminishes clothing competition. A 2-year evaluation by Oxford Brookes University of mandatory school uniforms showed a 28% drop in elementary suspension rates, a 51% decrease in fights in grades kindergarten through 8, and a 34% drop in assault and battery charges in the elementary and middle school levels. So what can we expect once school uniforms are instituted? Just imagine walking down a school hallway and seeing a unified group of neatly dressed students who are not picking on or bullying others for what they are wearing to school that day, but instead are discussing what they had learned in the classroom. You take a quick peek into a classroom and see students focusing on their classwork, not on each other's shoes or what sports team jersey is being worn. You no longer see visual display of gang colors or insignia. And all students are now on an even playing level when it comes to their clothing. We need to make a change for the better for our students, and one way we can achieve this is by instituting a mandatory school uniform policy. Uniforms create an atmosphere of school pride and unity, and help eliminate bullying and peer pressure by diminishing clothing competition. They promote safety by eliminating gang colors and insignia. They promote increased attention to classroom activities, and they help students evaluate who they are on the inside, not by their clothing. So I ask you today to join me in the movement of change and support the effort to get school uniforms in Denver Public Schools. Thank you very much for your attention.